Welcome to this introduction to Sufism, its history, core principles, modern interpretation, and the role of the Cherag, a course of study that I am undertaking. My name is Sarah Lemon, and this presentation reflects my training with Sarati and I Interfaith Sufi Path. Sufism is a tradition of enlightenment that carries the essential, universal truth forward through time. Understanding this tradition requires applying it in vital, dynamic ways, rather than confining it to religious and cultural forms of the past. The truth of Sufism requires fresh expression in every age. But first, a brief look at Sufism's structure and history. The explanation I just paraphrased comes from Sufism's Rifai order, one of dozens of orders around the world. The most commonly recognized Sufi orders, however, number 13. Each has its particular orientation, whether that's love, service, healing, or renunciation. These orders go by the names of Mevlevi, Jerahi, Naqshbandi, Chistiya, Shadaliya, Rifai, Qalandaria, and others. Of these, the Naqshbandi are the only ones who do not trace their lineage from Ali Talib, the Prophet Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, but rather through Abu Bakr, Muhammad's closest friend and father-in-law. Yes, Muhammad is a central figure in traditional Sufism. The cultural context of Islam in the Arabian Peninsula shaped Sufism as a defined spiritual path during the 7th century, but many practitioners, historians, and scholars contend that Sufism, particularly the quality of mysticism, predates Islam, and its essence has elements in common with aspects of Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, and Jewish and early Christian mysticism, not to mention traditional pagan and shamanic practices of Central Asia. There is no dissent, it's said, among mystics, regardless of origin, nationality, or identity, because they all believe in the unity of the divine, and that all God's prophets were manifestations of one messenger, bringing the same message through the ages. This quality makes Sufism accessible and appealing to followers of other religions or seekers who have severed earlier religious ties. So what is mysticism? It's a multifaceted term whose meaning shifts through the centuries and eludes precise definition. Just its mystics evade categorization. The Sufi's mystical path is unity with the divine through direct experiences, often called esoteric, that ultimately transcend the human ego and transform reality. Sufis do this through repetitive ritual practices, particularly praying, reciting, chanting, singing, and dancing. There's also a general Sufi emphasis on purification and asceticism, whose mechanisms vary among the different orders. The pursuit of altered states of consciousness has led to 20th century appropriation of mysticism as a popular characterization of supernatural and occult pursuits and phenomena. Sincere Sufi principles, however, inherently challenge an overly materialistic society and are the antidote to the worldliness that causes humanity to ignore and to forget its divine reality. Sufi practices, according to Karim Payton of the Mevlevi order, are the opportunity to remember who we are, where we came from, and where we're going. The Sufi's path, according to the Rifai, takes one beyond the labyrinth of secular consumer culture on a journey to find existential meaning and to holistically cultivate well-being. Each of the defined Sufi orders or tariqah is a path to God, and each of those paths is for a different type of person, according to Karim Payton. The person who redirected Sufism outside its centuries-old spheres of influence is Hazrat Inayat Khan, who sought to build a bridge between East and West. But his approach also bridges religion and spirituality for 20th century relevance. As Sufism is practiced in the West, its Islamic connection often is downplayed, verging on being obscured because it's not popular here, said my source Karim Payton. In that vein, Inayat Khan, who studied under 4 different Sufi tariqah in his native India, upheld religious equality and assigned equal representation to each of the world's major religions in his Universal Worship Service, introduced in 1921. The universal worship service is grounded in and emphasizes the objectives of an Inayat Khan Sufi order, uniting humans in love and wisdom through the philosophical and mystical traditions. This unity necessarily does not negate customs or beliefs, but rather reinforces universal truths to disarm humanity's religious biases. The role of the Cherag, or minister, in an Inayat Khan Sufi order is to perform the universal worship service and other spiritual events aligned with the Sufi message in their communities. The Cherag, which means lamp in Arabic, radiates divine light and illuminates the Sufi path. To learn more about the message of Hazrat Inayat Khan and to contact a Cherag, visit the Sarati Inayat Interfaith Sufi Path website at saratiinayat.org. Thanks for joining me.